Tonight on Banfield, you are hired. Now, where the hell are you? Companies are being ghosted by the next generation. It's a phenomenon that's already happening with friends and online dating, someone disappearing without a trace. But it's becoming common practice in the workforce now. So who is to blame for, quote, blatant disrespect? Those lazy, entitled Gen Zers or employers who've been ghosting applicants for years? Or maybe there's a third option. Is Gen Z just misunderstood? Is lazy or picky an easy label that ignores a bigger problem? The confrontation crisis. Is the next generation afraid of real people and real interactions after so many years of communicating on a screen? Plus, it's graduation season and you might have a friend or a family member about to cross that stage and about to start repaying that massive student debt. There has got to be a better way, right? Well, we found the secret and we're sharing it for free. And finally, do your coworkers act suspicious? A new survey says a staggering number of Americans are keeping secrets at the office. What exactly are they hiding? We're telling all ahead on Banfield. Hello and welcome to Banfield, everybody. Happy Friday. If you have been a regular viewer of this show, first of all, thank you. And you may also know that we have now been on the air for about 15 months. But I have a little story that I would like to share with you tonight, and bear with me. So before we signed on live, we had to hire all of those fabulous people who work on this show, and that is a big task. First, you've got to find the candidates, and then you got to check resumes and references, and then do all the interviews. And the interviews are the longest and most important part of the task. It's the get to know ya. And while I was in the middle of all of that, something kind of weird happened. A candidate who came highly recommended was one of my top picks to be on the team. She had a great resume, and I even agreed to conduct the Zoom interview while I was on vacation, but it was a slam dunk. She was terrific, and we both agreed it was a great fit. So I moved forward with the process to bring her on board. And then just a few days later, out of nowhere, she told somebody else that she'd taken another job. I was blindsided. I couldn't believe it. It just seemed so unprofessional. Plus, I was kind of ticked that I had spent so much time and effort on hiring her. Kind of felt like a waste. But I moved on. I didn't give it another thought. And then fast forward 7 months later, she reached out saying that she'd made a terrible mistake and she'd never have taken that other job. And then she professed her admiration for this show and our work. And she apologized profusely. And then she begged to be given a second chance. And I ignored my instincts. And I did another Zoom interview, and she seemed genuine and keen and wanted to work for us. And for the second time, I agreed to hire her. I told her I needed to confer with a couple of people and get the process rolling. And wouldn't you know it, within a few weeks, I heard through the grapevine she'd accepted another job somewhere else. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, you know the rest. This whole thing really kind of stuck in my craw ever since this, right? So when I read in the Wall Street Journal about a new phenomenon among Generation Z called ghosting employers, I snapped to attention. Turns out I'm not the only one who's had this happen. It's a thing. Major companies, according to the Journal, say that between 15 and 20% of new hires just don't bother showing up for work on day one and are never seen or heard from again. Before this kind of professional ghosting started, yes, employers were reporting that employees would often quit without giving notice or just stopped showing up for shifts. The practice even got a nickname, no call, no show. Employers are also reporting that they're being stood up for interviews as well. I get it. It's a tight job market out there. Lots and lots of jobs, not enough candidates to fill them. So the candidates can kind of pick and choose, right? Buyer's market. But is this now the professional norm? Need I remind everybody there is a recession looming and jobs are about to dry up. So is this going to change? Or is Gen Z profoundly different than we were decades ago? A generation that sees things totally differently and fears confronting real people with uncomfortable interactions. Maybe because so much of their life has been lived on a screen and a keyboard through no fault of their own. And if you're thinking, oh, come on, who cares? We all should. Because within about 2 years, Gen Z is going to make up almost 1/3 of the workforce. So ignore them at your peril. Joining me now to figure this one out is Rob Braylow. He runs the Boulevard Wine Bar, which is in Long Island City in Queens, New York. He's been ghosted even more than the national average. Rob, I had to do a double take on this stat, but 90% of the applicants that you've had haven't even shown up for scheduled interviews at your company. 90% scheduled an interview and ghosted you.
It's pretty typical for me for at least the last 5 years, I'd say.
What do you think is behind this?
It's hard to say. I mean, I'm in New York, so and Boulevard is a restaurant bar in Long Island City, Queens, and there's restaurant jobs all over the place. So getting an interview is not really a difficult proposition. The real issue is then once you've got the interview to decide to go, to get out and go and do and see the place and talk to the people. And if they're not willing to go do that, then there's really no next step. And it doesn't really matter what I'm hiring for. It's not specifically for servers. It's not specifically for dishwashers or chefs. It's all the way up to management. And it's fascinating.
Let me ask you, Rob, do you have the time, wherewithal, or enough staff to be able to warn other people, you know, within the restaurant industry, within the bars, maybe just around the neighborhood? Watch out for this guy. He's a loser.
I wish there was some kind of network like that, something easy that restaurant owners or managers could sign into, but it's too big a market. There's too many places for people to hide and people to go. So, you know, talking to the local owners of other restaurants nearby me, sure, I can easily do that, but they tend to come from all over the city, and so they'll just go somewhere else.
Yeah, I can imagine that this really interrupts your business flow. I went through it and I lost, you know, a fair bit of, you know, my hours in a day dealing with it. And I was also super annoyed. And now I'm a bit chastened by it. I don't know how much I should dedicate to do the interview process. But some companies now, Rob, have said that they are going to have group interviews, which I thought was really interesting. A, to save time and make sure they spray enough candidates that they will definitely get one. And B, to sort of show everybody in the group, you're not the only one here.
It's definitely something that I've had other friends of mine in the corporate world do because it does streamline things. I have found that I've actually shortened the time that I allocate for interviews. I tend to only give about 10, 15 minutes now for an initial interview to see if they're even going to show up. And once they do, that's already kind of a leap ahead of the other people that are interviewing with me.
I have a feeling I know what this answer is going to be, but I'm going to ask it anyway. After you get ghosted by somebody, do you secretly breathe a sigh of relief? Because it's like getting married and then finding out somebody's a cheater. You really wish you'd known beforehand. So do you kind of think, well, good riddance. You wouldn't have fit in, you know, anyway.
Yeah, once I've given someone the position and I've come to an agreement with them onto their salary and their benefits, and I expect them to show up and they don't, well then yeah, it absolutely is a sigh of relief. Be like, wow, I dodged that. The professionalism isn't there. The follow through isn't there. So better to know now than to still have candidates that I've been talking with than to know 3 months in and be left with giving all of that time and training and effort into making that person part of the team, and then they just disappear.
And then you're out even more time. Good money after bad. Okay, Rob Braylow, thank you so much for sharing your story, and good luck with the hiring. I hope everything works out.
Thank you, and thank you so much for having me.
Folks, if you are, trying to pick your jaw up off the floor while at the same time muttering, "Damn lazy kids," I get it. That's exactly what I thought too at first. Until I remembered my parents muttering the same damn thing about my generation, between stories about walking uphill to school on the way there and uphill to school on the way back. And you know what? We can stomp our feet all we want, right? It's not going to solve the problem. So let's go right to the source for what we might be missing here. Lillian Zhang is a 22-year-old recent graduate, and she starts a brand new job in September. She's also, also 22 is Zane Violet. Zane is unemployed right now at the moment, but recently declined a job offer and admits that she was very apprehensive about how to respond. And Tom Stack is a teacher of language arts and social studies at the Seven Hills School in Virginia. Welcome to all of you. Lillian, I'm going to begin with you. This question that I think, people our age would sort of hurl at people your age. Are y'all just lazy, or is there something we're missing here?
Hi, thank you so much for having me, first of all. I definitely think it's a common stereotype that is given to a lot of Gen Z, but I don't think that it's true. There's something much deeper than that, I feel. There are so many options for students and Gen Z to choose from that I think when it comes to seeing all of these options presented from them, some of them might get too overwhelmed, or just because everything's been conducted on Zoom for a really long time. People have so many options, and when it comes to communication, sometimes it is hard to communicate because we've been doing it online for so long that the tone on email is different than the tone that you'd have on social or text or real life. It's just so different. And I think especially people my age are prioritizing different things like mental wellness, good company culture, PTO, being treated fairly, all of that. And I don't see that in the company. I think a lot of them just prefer to move on. And I actually think that Gen Z is very dedicated when it comes to causes that they care about.
It's super fascinating to hear that, Lillian, because when I was your age, I just wanted that job so badly. I didn't even know what the company was going to offer. They paid me peanuts. I didn't even know about benefits. It wasn't part of the equation. I just wanted to get that job. It was a recession back in the 80s. Zane, is it weird to hear this, or is this kind of like, Ashleigh, you're finally catching on? Among your friends and peers, do you know people who've ghosted employers like this, and do you have some insight?
Hi, thank you also for having me. I don't find it weird at all, but I also don't know anyone who has personally taken that route of ghosting employers. I actually tend to spend my time with peers who are a little bit older than myself, and I was also influenced by very, I would say, military parents. So we just didn't that's just not a value that I personally uphold, but I do understand why a lot of this generation does do that. I do think that it is in part constantly having a phone in front of our face, and that's what we were raised on. And I do believe that it creates a little bit of a discrepancy in wanting to be confrontational and wanting to do things in person. It's very uncomfortable because it's easier to be forthright with the screen in between you rather than being directly in front of another person.
I have sensed that for a couple of years now with my own kids. They're just in high school, but all of their communication is via a screen, and there's very little, very little going out to play with kids on the street as they were growing up. Tom, you're a unique perspective here because not only are you a Gen Z, but you're also a teacher. Talk to me a little bit about what Zane was just saying with regard to your students and also how you grew up, the notion that your lives literally have been digital. Almost every aspect of your life has required digital communication. And then all of a sudden in the real world, we have to have real world confrontations with real faces, real voices, real people, and phone calls.
Yeah, I definitely understand that. I would say that while we have had phones our whole lives, and texting is kind of commonplace, I think that something I've talked about with my own peers, so 24 age group, but also some students, is that kind of we're trying to find our passion. Kind of finding what you want to do in the world has become much more important, at least amongst my peer group. Not finding the job that kind of the first job you get, but finding one that speaks to you, and that's kind of what education is meant to do, right? You're meant to kind of show students have different ways of thinking, and kind of like develop critical thinking. And hopefully along that process, they can eventually kind of discover what they're passionate about. So when they do apply to a job, they apply in a field in which they know that they're comfortable going into it.
Lillian, jump in here. When we were discussing doing this story, I thought, well, I certainly know about ghosting with friends and ghosting with dating apps. That's kind of standard up for a lot of people who are Gen Z, and I think even millennials. But this employment one was new, and I wonder if this is just a natural progression, because such a big part of your society is friends and dating when you're young, and then you move to working and you just think that's normal. Do you think that that's why this is happening?
I think our mindset when it comes to dating and socializing kinds of transfers onto our professional lives as well, because you kind of have this subconscious mindset of ghosting. There's so many options at your fingertips that once you see something that catches your attention, maybe that attracts your attention from other things that you were dealing with. So that just kind of comes with social media in general. I also think with the rise of short form media like TikTok, Instagram Reels, everyone just has a short attention span in general. I think just kind of manifests in our lives. Just generally, there's just so many options trying to get our attention. And sometimes for a lot of people, I think it's just easier for them to move on to the next option.
Yeah. I want to put up some things on the screen that I find super fascinating. Zane, I want you to address this, if you will. This is, and this is important because right now, your generation makes up 12% of the workforce, but in a couple of years, it's going to be 27% of the workforce. And this is what Gen Z is looking for. You want flexibility. You want work-life balance, more non-traditional employee benefits. So on top of health insurance and retirement plans, you're looking for things like paid time off, mental health days, financial wellness programs, and the overall company culture. It's a shopping list that's really terrific, but I only look at it like, my goodness, it seems like a pipe dream. But if it's a buyer's market, I get it. Would you take a job, Zane, if the company didn't offer all of those things?
Yes, absolutely. I think that it depends all on how the scales are tipped. I'm one to make a pros and cons list when it comes to the offerings of the job. And I like to compare them to what it is that I'm ultimately looking for, and what's best for me in my overall picture of health, family health, mental health, and then financial and material security. But that's personally what I would advise other people to do. But I would absolutely take a job if it didn't have everything I want, because I don't believe we can always have everything that we want.
Well, you guys have been really eye-opening. I appreciate this. Lillian Zhang, Zane Violet, and Tom Stack. Thank you, all three of you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you are of a certain generation, you might be thinking these kids should just snap out of it. But we aren't the generation that communicated via text. We didn't grow up on Instagram. And there's a lot more to this new generation that, when understood, can yield great dividends. Take, for instance, the anti-work thread on the website Reddit, where people of all ages vent about their jobs. And it's not just little annoyances. One person posts an email from the boss asking for a detailed list, the boss says, of everything they do and the amount of time it takes to accomplish each task. Another post from someone working in human resources reads, "Only a few jobs in our company pay competitively. Our insurance is poor. Our competitors offer 2 weeks vacation to start, and we offer a week after a year." But this post might take the cake. It says, "I hate this job. Every day I see the faces of my crew and they are broken and I hate it here. I butt heads with my boss that only cares about money flowing to him. I increased profits by 50% in 2 months, but it's still not enough. It is never enough." And there are hundreds of other posts like it. So is Gen Z right? Are things worse in the work environment than when boomers slugged it out? Or are they snowflakes that don't know how good they have it? Some real answers from the experts who spent years figuring this one out. Next. Welcome welcome back. I want you to think back for a moment to a time when you were fresh out of school. You're offered a dream job with a good salary, health insurance, maybe even some vacation days. You would snap it up in a heartbeat, right? You'd probably work there for the rest of your life, too. In the old days. Yes, of course you would then. But now that isn't the case. In fact, more and more people are accepting those jobs, but then ghosting their employers, taking the job but never showing up. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but companies say it's happening with up to 20% of their new hires. It's mostly Gen Z, people in their teens and early 20s, and before the last break, we heard from some of them. But now I want to see if we can figure out why it's happening and if it's temporary. Are they being too picky? Are they too lazy? Or are today's communication skills a world away from yesterday's? I'm joined by two people who know all about this topic. Dr. John Duffy is a clinical psychologist and the author of the book, Parenting the New Teen in the Age of Anxiety. And Darby Fox is a child and adolescent therapist who wrote the book, Rethinking Your Teenager, Shifting from Conflict and Control to Structure and Nurture to Raise Accountable Young Adults. Welcome to both of you. Thanks for joining me. Dr. Duffy, I'm going to begin with you if I can. Before the break, we heard from the Gen Zers, and they said that they felt a lot of pressure, that they didn't want to upset people who hired them, sometimes indecisive, that there was anxiety. So my question for you is this laziness, or is this a new societal problem that's unique to them?
Yeah, it's a great question, Ashleigh. It looks like laziness. I know it does. But I really do think that what they were saying is, by and large, really true. Young people now are super discerning about their workplace. And so they have different needs and wants. And the pandemic has only exacerbated that, where they realize, oh, we don't have to work the number of hours that our parents worked at their early jobs in order to be efficient. And you're right, they want to be loyal. They want to stay in certain workplaces, but they're not willing to risk their emotional well-being in order to do so. And I don't think we're looking at something temporary. I think they're more and more discerning, and the more information that they have access to, the more discerning I think they're going to become.
So, Darby, let me jump in with you, because there's this recent study that came out that asked recent graduates what they wanted from a brand new job. And I was amazed at the top two things. Number one is proper mental health support. And number two is being able to talk openly about mental health at the office. Does that surprise you that mental health just ranks so high on what they want to see in their workplace?
No, I don't think it does, because we really are in an age, and it really escalated with COVID, that there was this awareness something was missing, and people felt isolated with that before. And now we've created an environment where it's okay to say, I have anxiety, or I could be depressed. And so I think that's a really important, if you will, outcome of COVID, a positive outcome.
So I learned this term today, sort of with regard to this topic, conflict avoidance. And Dr. Duffy, it seems to me, just from our, initial research, that a lot of these young people really struggle with conflict. And it doesn't have to be aggressive conflict. It can just be having to talk to someone about something that isn't fun. And that's sort of a unique issue, because when we were growing up, we just bit the bullet. I feel like we didn't have a choice. The choices may not always be there for these kids. Are they going to be able to deal with it when they won't have so much luxury of choice?
Right. Yeah, it's actually really concerning, Ashleigh, because young people, this conflict avoidance is a serious problem, and they lack, because in part of the pandemic, the practice effect of just connecting and talking with adults. And so this anxiety has increased enormously, and they believe they're less resilient than they are. In other words, they could handle the job interview, they could handle the job if they were just willing to take those first steps. But there's so much anxiety and avoidance that so many young people that we're working with, and I suspect Darby will agree, are stepping way back and are not willing to even, leave the house some of the time, much less go take all that resiliency resilience it takes to go and get a job and tenacity to get to work and to get there every day. So I do think that there's some anxiety issues we're going to have to overcome with young people in order to just get them in the space where they learn how competent and resilient they actually are.
Yeah, because listen, I think a lot of Gen Zers are way smarter than I was when I was their age. I'll tell you that much. They've just absorbed so much more information at a rate that's just almost incomparable. But Darby, I grew up with wars and recession and disease, and I didn't get any special accommodations for it. That was all very painful struggle.
No.
It was all very, distasteful. But I do wonder if there's more stress today, or if we're just better at communicating, have more avenues to communicate, and we're acknowledging it more now.
Well, I think it's kind of a combination, Ashleigh. Really, there are a lot of the same or maybe escalated problems. There's, currently with the war, the pandemic is something we never had to deal with before. But really, I think there is less tolerance and less ability because we've started to communicate really by phone or on a screen. So we don't really have to be accountable in an in-person way. And I think that has created a lot of the issues and the doubt, what you're talking about, John, with the resilience. If you haven't really done it in real time, you don't know how to do it. And I think that is more of an issue than actually a much more stressful environment.
Yeah, like break the seal. You just got to break the seal and everything will be okay. It's just easier said than done. Dr. John Duffy and Darby Fox, I just love talking to both of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, you have heard this. I know if you've been watching the news the last couple weeks, there's a recession coming. And with a recession, can anybody afford to be picky? After the break, I'll be joined by an all-star panel of career experts, and I'll ask them if it is safe to be choosy, or if Gen Z should just step up and grab that first job they can get and hold on for dear life. That's next. Welcome back. Ghosting your boss. That's when you accept a new job and then you just don't bother showing up and you don't return calls or texts. Gen Z is ghosting at a rate of up to 20% of new hires. And maybe it's because they fear the real life confrontation after growing up on screens. Maybe it's because there's so many jobs to choose from. But make no mistake, there are dark clouds of recession churning on the horizon. And within a few months, the experts say layoffs will be the ugly new headline. Is Gen Z ready for a world where jobs are precious and few and far between? And are the lessons of the last decade setting them up for disaster? We've assembled an all-star panel of career experts. Paul McDonald is the Senior Executive Director for Robert Half, the world's first and largest specialized talent solution and business consulting firm. Johnny C. Taylor Jr. is President and CEO of the Society for Human Resource Management, the largest HR trade association in the world. And Julie Bauke is a strategic career advisor. Her book is called, and I love this, Stop Peeing on Your Shoes, Avoiding the 7 Mistakes That Screw Up Your Job Search. We got to do an hour just on that book title alone. Julie, I'm going to begin with you. I didn't think I was going to be having this discussion in my career of people ghosting their bosses. Did you ever think it would come to this?
Well, employers, unfortunately, have been doing the ghosting for years. And so from a job seeker perspective, I've heard it over and over again, turnabout is fair play. So it's unfortunate. But when the pendulum swings this way, I think there's a kid in the candy store sort of confidence that job seekers get, and they aren't always making good decisions.
The pendulum. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, because pendulum usually comes back and things change. But first, before I do that, Paul, the old expression of burning a bridge, it used to be what terrified us, in the job market. We just wanted the job and we wanted to make sure that our reputations stayed intact. What happened to that?
Well, I think that there's so many choices today. There's 11.5 million jobs available last month. The confidence is extremely high with the worker. with the Gen Zer. And by the way, it goes through all generations, not just Gen Z. So with all those openings, the confidence is too high, and they're making choices right off the bat to try and find a job, get a job. They're all enthusiastic about getting that without doing enough research, without looking for connections if it's a good cultural fit for them, and looking at the job description. Am I really a good fit? Can I work for the supervisor or manager? As I mentioned, a cultural fit twice because it's so important. And do I see myself long-term or even short-term working for this organization?
So in the 80s, when I graduated from university, we had a funny term, us friends who were heading out into the job market. It was called McJobs, because there was a recession and we couldn't get jobs in our chosen fields. We had to get McJobs, anything we could get until eventually we could get into our fields. And with that in mind, Johnny, we're expecting a recession, and I'm sort of wondering what the net effect of a recession could be on Gen Z that now is just used to having every job at their beck and call.
Well, let me tell you, it's coming, and it's coming faster than many know. We just saw last week on Thursday, both Walmart and Amazon announced that they had overstaffed for the first quarter of 2021. And that it affected their financial results as such. And obviously, we've seen what's happened to the stock market. But it's not just the retail jobs. We're seeing this everywhere. I mean, you see Carvana announce 2,500 layoffs. You see companies like Uber, for the first time ever, saying hiring will be a privilege going forward. So what we have is not only the Generation Z, but a significant portion of the millennial population. Remember, they were born in 1981, which means in 2008, they were in their early or mid-20s. So they've not really experienced an economic downturn. And this is going to be shocking for them. They believe everything goes up, salaries, stock prices, everything. And they're coming to very quickly the reality that the world doesn't always go up when it comes to employment.
Yeah, I mean, let me just list off a couple of other, realities in a recession. You have inflation, the gas prices are up. It's really hard to get a loan, but at the same time, your interest rate on your credit card skyrockets, and it's really hard to find those paying jobs because all of a sudden, layoffs, downsizing, and it gets really hard to live with all those expensive things when you don't have any money coming in. So, Julie, what's going to happen to the requirements list, that big, long, special, awesome list that lots of the Gen Zers have when they're deciding if they're going to join a company or not?
Well, right now, companies are still in scramble mode in terms of trying to figure out what Gen Z wants. So there's still almost this split personality going on where they're trying to get people in the door, trying to keep the people they want to keep, but still thinking about layoffs and recession. So the best thing that organizations are trying to figure out, what is it? And from a job seeker perspective, one of your previous guests mentioned it, you have to figure out exactly what's most important to you, because there could be this laundry list of wonderful benefits, but I might look at that as a job seeker. I might look at those 10 benefits and say, I don't really care about 7 of them, but these 3 I do care about. So from a job seeker perspective, get crystal clear on what matters most to you and use that as a part of your template as you're out there deciding which jobs to apply to and which ones to show up on Monday morning to.
You know what? It's brilliant. The prioritization, right? So in an earlier segment, we showed that the top 2 priorities were, mental health related, the kinds of services and acceptance, a company would have with regard to mental health. So, Paul, I'm going to get you to weigh in on this. With everything that we just outlined that might be coming down the pike, and it's going to be nasty, do you think that the anxiety will be higher for Gen Z and they will demand even more in the mental health area, or are they going to have the worst storm possible, and that is higher anxiety and no opportunity to ask for those mental health services because they just need the job?
Well, if they have a job, if they're lucky enough to have a job, and by the way, we're not there yet. I might be a contrarian right now. I know the facts of the job openings that are there right now. So having said all that, if they speak up, like one of your guests in a previous segment said, if they use their soft skills, if they develop their soft skills, and the organization that they're working for helps them with those soft skills, meaning presentation, verbal skills, the ability to write and communicate. Essentially, that's what we're talking about. Then they'll be able to speak up. Mental health is a real thing. It's come to the forefront in this pandemic. As we move out of it, I don't think it's going away, like many of your experts have said. However, the organizations that these people work for can help draw it out, and that's where a good human resource department, a good L&D department, will help not only train them but also bring them to the forefront and offer, even if they're in a remote or a hybrid setting, offer the assistance, the employee assistance programs that are necessary to make them feel as though they're a part of the organization and being heard in the mental health arena.
Here I am, age 54, and I just learned a new term, soft skills. I thought I knew it all, but soft skills, I'm going to work on that. Okay, so I only have about 30 seconds left, but Johnny, this question is essential. Is this just the natural ebb and flow in the HR business? And basically, when jobs are scarce, don't people just adapt to the market?
There's no question. Like, listen, we've seen the cycles. Those of us on this call today on the television screen, we're old enough to have seen the cycle. The question is, for people who've not gone through a cycle, they don't know what to expect. Yes, it will, at times, the pendulum will swing and it will be a buyer's market, as it has been, for years as we knew it. And then it was a seller's market recently. For the last 15 or so years, it's been a hot market. And the reality is we have fewer Americans having been born over the last 2 decades. So we knew that this was coming. What we've got to do is figure out, how do we engage employees, address the mental health issues. I want to make that point real quickly. We as employers understand the significance of an employee being not only physically well, but mentally well. So that's not going to go away. What we're not going to be intolerant of is an employee who, every time they're being held accountable, that word you used before, fall back on, I'm under mental duress and I can't do this job and you've got to do something for it.
That's a very good point. There has got to be, some boundaries there in terms of just when you're a snowflake and when you're being lazy and not dealing with something. Okay, Paul McDonald, Johnny C. Taylor Jr., and Julie Bauke, thank you all three. I definitely want to have this panel back. This was great. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So the weight of student debt is breaking the backs of college grads, but there is a little-known program that gets you in and out of college for free. Free. You just pay for your books and room and board. Sounds too good to be true? It isn't. It's real. And I'm going to tell you about it next. It's the middle of May, which means it's time for college graduations and family celebrations. But along with that shiny new diploma is often a mountain of crushing debt. Over the last 3 decades, the price of a 4-year college degree at a public university has on average jumped by more than 100%. It's about the same for private schools, too. If you think about it, when we finished college, our first big purchase was probably a home. The down payment and the monthly mortgage were scary, but some of today's kids are graduating with a debt that is equal to the price of that home. According to Forbes magazine, more than half of all students are graduating from public and private schools with some tuition debt. The average student owes close to $30,000, with plenty of those students owing a whole lot more. Grad school can take them into the hundreds. But there is hope. Tonight, news of a little-known program called Work College that can help kids graduate with zero tuition debt. NewsNation digital reporter Zed Jelani joins me tonight with the details. Okay, Zed, how does it work?
Yeah, so there are 9 sort of federally designated work colleges. And what's really unique about these colleges is that every single student works a job. So you work something like 15 hours a week. And at least at 2 of these colleges, Berea College and College of the Ozarks in Missouri, the first one being in Kentucky, you pay no tuition in return, right? The median debt for a student who graduated from Berea College in 2018 and 2019 was $305, right? $305 for their entire college education, and that include room and board in terms of the debt. So these colleges, I think they're a great deal but very few people know about them, and they largely serve the lower income students. And I think that they do provide a model, I think, that's worth looking at as we think about this student debt problem.
I think about the hours that I spent wasting time in college. You only have to do 15 hours of work per week in order to qualify for this. Why isn't it more like this? Just seems crazy to me that it exists and it's not exploding all over the country. Why is it?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's a question that people who run these colleges get all the time. I think part of it is that they developed these programs over decades, right? They developed a culture where every student works, where they have a very lean staff. For instance, at College of the Ozarks, to tend to 1,000 acres for landscaping, they only have 4 full-time employees. About 60 students do that labor day in, day out. The other thing is they have to build an endowment over time, right? Berea College started their tuition-free program in 1892, and they built an endowment through investments that actually allows them to invest in those students in addition to the sort of revenues that the students can generate through work or the way that they can keep the facilities operating in a more lean manner. So it does take a bit of work and it does take a cultural shift. But I think largely it is a process that's replicable. We've seen at least, I think, 1 or 2 of these new colleges open up in the past few years. So it is possible to see more of these, I think, in the near future.
Okay, I only have 30 seconds left, but I have to ask you, I keep thinking, hey, wait a minute, is there a catch? Do you have to be a plumber, or are they really gross jobs? Like, what kind of jobs would you mentioned landscaping, but what other jobs would students be doing at these work colleges?
Yeah, absolutely. So everything from the hotels to the local fire department, on-campus fire department, to landscaping, as mentioned, to restaurants, to even the public relations office. Some of these colleges are mostly staffed by students. So it's all sorts of things. And the other benefit of this model is that you have a long resume that you're bringing to employers before you even graduate college. So I think there are a lot of benefits to this model.
I think it's brilliant. Thank you so much, Zed, for bringing this to our show. And by the way, I want to let our viewers know that they can read a whole lot more from you on this, and also stories like this that are on newsnationnow.com/solutions. So there you go. There's the address right on your screen, newsnationnow.com/solutions. You can read Zed's piece and see the names of the colleges. And also, if you want to keep this conversation going with Zed and me, he is going to join me, plus also Darby Fox, who you just saw in another block. We're going to be on Twitter Spaces live right after this show. You'll find us at my Twitter handle. Just go to @TVAshleigh. You have to spell it with the Leigh. ASHLEIGH. So @TVAshleigh coming up. We'll definitely have a lot more to say about that topic. And then next, the secrets we share. Turns out that there's a growing number of Americans hiding things from their family and friends, but mostly from people at the office. A brand new poll says a staggering number of us have chosen to hide parts of our lives from our bosses and our coworkers. Here's a question. What percentage of American workers are keeping a secret from their employer and coworkers? More importantly, what secrets? We're revealing them right after the break. Before the break, I asked you what percentage of American workers are keeping a secret from their employer and their coworkers. And the answer, according to a new survey, is 64% of us. Maybe the better question is, what secrets are we hiding? The 2 most common secrets are political views, 37% of us, and personal information about your family, 36% have those. And one of the biggest reasons for keeping the secrets, fear that the information could hurt their chances of advancing within the company. Interesting stuff. Thanks for joining us, everybody. It's been great to have you along.